Sir, good evening. Mohanty sir, good evening, sir. Mohanty sir, good evening. Can you hear me? Now, no turn mic off.
Unmute. जी सर नमस्ते
Sir, good evening, sir. Sir, can you hear my voice
no.
on Zoom? अच्छा, आपका भी अभी
हाँ.
म्यूट दिख रहा है. You just please test. I can see you, but I cannot hear you. There. हाँ हाँ.
पता नहीं चेक करना just.
Now you're audible, I think. No. So your voice from phone is coming.
अरे बाबा असलो
आ गई सर, आवाज आ गई आपकी.
कैसे साउंड होनी कि कोई भी चलती
सर आ गई आवाज आपकी, आ रही है मोहंती साहब.
हेडफोन्स तो ऑन अच्छी तो यार
Yes, yes.
चल
Jairam sir, good evening. Good evening, Jairam sir.
हेलो
Welcome, sir. Welcome.
Good evening. Good evening. Can you hear
अच्छा
me?
ना तांको पुट प्रॉब्लम समझ ठीक है
Thank you. Thank you.
तांकर म्यूटेड अच्छे तांकर आसुनी तो नहीं चलता YouTube चलती हाँ
सर आ रही है आपकी आवाज, आ रही है अभी. मोहंती साहब आपकी आवाज आ रही है.
Because we will think one and over the years our
हेलो
Yes, sir.
हेलो
Yes, sir. We can listen
Hello.
you now. Yeah. Hello.
हेलो
Hello. Hello. Hello.
Good evening. How are you?
Good evening, Baba sir. Good evening, sir.
Badhiya. Good to.
Good to see you, sir. Good to see you. Thank you so much
Good.
for coming.
Good. Very good.
तुम तो कहूच तांको सुबुची ठीक है तुमको सुबुची के तांकर म्यूटेड थी वो
Yeah. Now I can listen you, sir. Mohanty sahab, I can listen you now.
Ashish sir, it seems that he is not able to hear you.
Yeah, he's not able to hear me. We are listening him. I'm trying to call him now. I'll call him.
Sir, my son is setting it. Sir, my son is setting it. My son is setting it. नहीं. That's the whole trouble. हाँ. से कौन मो कथा सुबुची तांको अन्य मान सुबुनी. तम कथा तांको सुबुची. अन्य मान माने मत्ते सुबुनी माने कथा. तो ता कहला ओके आप कहला कथा है. अपाई कर दूँ. अपाई तो इयरफोन्स दे सिक्स हो जाती लेफ्ट साइड रे इधर तो ऑन अच्छी देखो काम करछ ना
Our chairman emeritus and our chief mentor, Mr. M.B. Jairam sir, has joined. Our president has joined us, Dr. Vinay Kumar.
Hello.
We have our speaker of the evening, Dr. Mohanty here with us. He is just sitting his earphones. Sir. Must be hearing some.
Mr. Bawa Sahab from Delhi
Bawa
is
Sahab
also
is with
there.
us, yes, sir.
Yeah, Sharma from Mangalore
Yes,
is
sir.
also there. Saurabh Jairam, Geeta
Yes.
Shankar.
Namaste,
Sara
sir.
Jairam is there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hiram sir,
Yeah.
namaste sir, Lata sir.
Yes,
Namaste,
ma'am, is
Lata,
there. Ma'am,
Lata.
good evening.
ಎಲ್ಲಿ ಕಾಣೋದಿಲ್ಲ ನಿಮ್ ಮುಖನೇ ಕಾಣೋದಿಲ್ಲ ಅಲ್ಲಿ.
Sir, ಇದೆ ಒಂದ್ ನಿಮಿಷ.
Yes, I can see your smiling face now.
ಗೀತಾ ಮ್ಯಾಮ್ ನಮಸ್ತೆ.
Hi. Hi.
Geeta ma'am, namaskar. Good evening. Good evening, ma'am. Good evening.
Hi Saurabh.
We were missing you day before yesterday, Geeta ma'am, in the meeting.
Yeah. Sorry, I got a bit busy. I
We
couldn't.
missed you a
Sorry.
lot. Yeah. I
We'll
know.
make it up.
I-
We'll make it up. We'll make up the loss.
Yeah.
Anu
Yeah,
Cherian
yeah.
is there. She's a newcomer. Anu Cherian,
Yes, hi.
Sangeeta Patnaik,
sir, good
Rashmi
evening.
Mishra. All of them are new to us. Hi everyone.
Hi. I'm from Cochin. Hello, sir.
Baba sir, good evening.
Good evening. Thank you very much. Good to see you.
ನಮಸ್ತೆ sir.
I will switch on video in a minute. There's somebody sitting right.
Yeah. Okay. I think it's the first time Lata has come on video. She usually comes only during Bangalore chapter meetings. She's off video.
ನಮಸ್ತೆ sir, ಕೌಲ್ sir.
Kaul. Hi, how are you?
Hi, good evening. Good evening to all everyone.
ನಮಸ್ತೆ sir.
और अमित श्रीवास्तव जी भी here. Amit
Hey,
Srivastava.
Vinay, hi.
Sir,
Hey, Vinay, hi.
Sir,
Hi,
good
hi.
evening, sir.
Pratima Sharma, which place you are from, Pratima ji?
Sir, I'm from Delhi.
Delhi. Very nice. Thank you.
Hi, Avinash.
Hello, sir. Hello.
Oh, hi, Avinash.
Hi
Hello.
Avinash ji.
Hello, ma'am. Hello.
Yeah, hi.
Good evening.
Pashupati, can we see you? Pashupati?
I am driving, madam. Good evening.
Good evening.
Yes, we know.
Okay. Saurabh, can we see you, Saurabh?
Ma'am, Saurabh is like me.
Avinash, how are you? How is your things are going on?
Yes, sir. Fantastic. Tomorrow evening I will be free.
Aja, very good. And then what about your doctor Alok and Nitin? They are not to be seen. Ask them to come to at least official meetings. May not be
Okay.
possible for this. Kindly convey my message to them. Official meetings they are not supposed to miss. Not
Okay.
maybe because some webinars maybe they are busy, but official meetings ask them, request them to. Otherwise, send a message. Okay, we are all
Yes,
fair
sir.
people.
Yes, sir.
There are
There's a
speaker of the evening, Dr.
Yes,
Himanshu Kempty has joined with
meeting
us.
they were absent. Only two of them. Yeah.
MB sir, good evening.
Monty sir, can you listen us now?
Good evening.
Monty sir, can you
everyone.
listen us now? Monty sir, can you listen us now?
Mohanty sir is there. Yes.
Monty sir,
Mr. Mahapatra is
there
there.
is some problem. Yeah, Mr. Mahapatra is there. Good evening, Mahapatra sir.
Ashok Kumar is there.
Ashok Panda? No.
Yeah.
Is he there? Acha.
Sir.
सर आप उसमें आपकी आवाज सुन पा रही है आप हम लोग को नहीं सुन पा रहे क्या?
No, that's the whole trouble.
Oh,
हाँ. ठीक. हेडफोन टा काई
He can actually not listen us. His voice is coming to us, but he is not able to listen us.
एटी कोन पॉज पॉज हे जी
Can you just advise him that
Yes,
he
sir.
should select the computer audio in his options?
Yes.
Yes.
He should click on mic and he should click on computer audio. Generally somebody miss.
सर
सर आपको भी आवाज आई क्या? हाँ आपकी आवाज आ रही है और आप अपना
No, you can listen.
no you can listen us there.
very feeble in any event when I have to start you just signal me I'll just start.
That's okay, but your mic
No, that's okay, but your sir आपका जो माइक चेक का जो है वो माइक मेरे से ऑफिस है जिसमें ऑडियो कॉल ऑडियो वाला एक ऑप्शन है बेटा बुलाइए नहीं तो उसको बोलता हूँ
कौन टे इसी को कम प्रॉब्लम है तो मोर पा यही जी तुम कॉन्फ़िगर कर पूरा ना इसे कौन होची लो सो एटा देख लो ये पण ये तो पेयरिंग करे पड़ियो पेयरिंग है जी पूरा ऑलरेडी हां बस उल्टा
Sir, Dr. Mohanty is not able to listen us, but we can listen him. Can we start, sir, like this only?
Yeah, better. It's already 10 minutes.
Yeah. Okay. Dr. Pratima, can you please start?
Yes.
By the time Mr. Mohanty, yeah, please. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Pratima, you are muted. Unmute. No.
Okay. Sorry. As per the relevant provision under the Indian Information Technology Act, I seek the permission of Chair to start the webinar and record it. So please give us the permission.
Jairam sir, she is seeking for your permission, sir.
Sir is muted, I guess.
Please go ahead.
Thank you.
Again, you are muted. Please unmute. Yeah.
It is automatically, I don't know why.
No problem.
May I request all to keep yourself on mute mode for some time, please. Thank you, everyone. Namaskar, everyone. I, Pratima Sharma, the moderator of this webinar, welcomes you all for today's informative session on new education policy. It indeed is a privilege for me to welcome our Chief Mentor and Chairman Emeritus, Shri M.B. Jairam Sir, in this webinar. I would also like to welcome Chairman Governing Council, Mr. B.N. Kumar, National President Dr. T. Vinay Kumar, Chairperson YCC Srimati Geetha Shankar, and all governing councils, National Council members, regional heads, chapter chairman, WCC and YCC members. I take it as an opportunity to welcome all dignitaries, speakers, and participants in this informative evening on education policies. Our speaker of the day is Dr. Himanshu K. Mohanty, Regional Director, DAV Institutions, Uttar Pradesh. Before starting up with this session, I would like to invite Dr. T.S. Latha, Chairperson PRCI, Bangalore Chapter, to brief the audience about Public Relations Council of India. Dr. Latha, please.
Good evening, everyone. PRCI, Public Relations Council of India, is a pan-India communication exchange forum. It spreads over 38 Indian cities and towns. PRCI connects PR, media, advertising, Marcom, academia, journalism, and other associated fields. PRCI provides professionals an opportunity to serve their community by encouraging high ethical standards in their respective areas of work. It is pleasure to mention that it is the first such forum to offer accreditation to professionals in the stream. PRCI is headquartered at Bangalore. Since 2004, PRCI is striving to enrich professional development and aids networking opportunities to the cause of PR. The range of PRCI's concerns are articulated through Data's Day, World Communicators Day, social communication programs, Chanakya and PR Hall of Fame Awards, global conclaves, Chanakya and Kautilya magazines, P-Rapport. Adding to this, in the coming days, one more monthly magazine would be launched to help the PR practitioners. Year after year, the PRCI Annual Global Meet has established itself as one of the leading international platforms for PR industry. More than 500 communication practitioners and decision makers of top performing industries and organizations in India and abroad come together to discuss and deliberate the ideas and best practices in PR and communication. PRCI organized 14 such global communication conclaves till date. During the current pandemic too, PRCI has proved that connecting people and the society through national and international webinars by deliberating the issues of societal needs as top priority. Today's webinar is one among them, which address societal needs, the new education policy. Thus, PRCI stands for Spreading Communication for a Better World. Thank you. Over to Dr. Pratima.
Thank you so much, ma'am.
Thank you.
May I now request Shri Avinash Gavai, Chairman PRCI West Zone, to speak on WCC and YCC. Over to you, sir.
Yeah. Good evening, everybody. Distinguished guests and all the present dignitaries from PRCI, YCC, and most important, dear students. It is indeed a pleasure to give brief information about World Communicators Council, WCC, to all of you. Friends, WCC is the global platform introduced internationally by Public Relations Council of India, PRCI, by the visionary, our chief mentor and chairman emeritus, Mr. M.B. Jairam, sir. Indeed, it is enhancing the worldwide communication amongst the mass communication professionals, PR professionals, educationists, researchers, and the students. Today, WCC has chapters in UAE, Sri Lanka, Bangladesh, Nepal, and Bhutan, and we are looking forward to spread our wings in the countries like Singapore, Australia, UK, and US soon. It may not be inappropriate here to share that PRCI is the first and foremost PR forum from India to establish a global platform like WCC, and the world has wholeheartedly welcomed it. The mission of the WCC is to integrate communication organizations and professionals globally for sharing knowledge, breaking barriers on both the fronts like physical and mental, and contribute to exchange of experiences and ideas to communicate for the better world. WCC coordinates with various countries' chapters to hold global events, annual awards, seminars, exchange visits, and panel discussions with the participation of key personalities from across the fields mentioned previously. WCC facilitates guest faculty pool through each of its affiliated chapter who visit various colleges, universities, institutions that teaches mass communication and marketing to impart practical training in communication skills. WCC also encourages its chapter to work on social communication projects such as environment to communicate for causes and work in tandem with its motto, that is communicating for a better world. This was the brief introduction about WCC, and I will just briefly introduce about our YCC, that is Young Communicators Club. The YCC, founded by Public Relations Council of India in year 2013 as its dedicated youth wing. It was launched at 5th PRCI Global Communication Conclave held at Hyderabad by the hands of Mr. H.S. Brahma, then Chief Election Commissioner of India. The youth platform by PRCI gives an opportunity to students of mass communication and business management to learn the ropes of the industry and get industry ready. YCC gives various opportunities to the students to interact with eminent media personalities, business leaders, communication industry leaders, and academician entrepreneurs through a series of workshops, seminars, webinars, contests, and creative event and festivals, which are regularly organized through all the active PRC and YCC chapters in the country. The YCC student gets such live opportunities to involve themselves and extract the first-hand experience and learning from all these opportunities, which empowers them to the industry to become an industry-ready professional. Thank you, all of you. Good.
I take it as an opportunity to welcome Dr. Himanshu K. Mohanty, who is the speaker for the day today. Before starting up with this, I would like to speak about, share his brief profile with all of you. He was born at Puri in Odisha on October 1960. The famed late scribe Prafulla Chandra Mohanty, Himanshu Kumar Mohanty, holds higher academic degrees in English, teaching, journalism, law, and IT. Starting his career as a lecturer in English in 1981 in his hometown Puri, he joined the Trust in 1986 to teach English and became principal of DAV Public School. The very next year and subsequently held simultaneously administrative positions like PRO, and for the Ranchi region. Then it was undivided, it was a part of Bihar, till he joined the Cuttack region for the state of Odisha, West Bengal, and Northeast in 1998 as the director. After a stint of 1.5 decades, he was posted to Mumbai in 2014 DAV institutions of Maharashtra and Gujarat. From 2017, he is stationed at Lucknow for the administration of DAV institutions in Uttar Pradesh. A likable orator, Dr. commended from his early years for his literary and debating activities. He is a fellow of the Computer Society. I got muted again. I'm so sorry. Am I audible to all of you now?
Yes. Yes, please.
Yes.
Okay. Dr. Mohanty, after a stint of 1.5 decades, he was posted to Mumbai in 2014 to head the DAV institutions of Maharashtra and Gujarat. From 2017, he is stationed at Lucknow for the administration of the DAV institutions in Uttar Pradesh. A likable orator, Dr. Mohanty has been commended from his early years for his literary and debating activities. He is a fellow of the Computer Society of India and life member of the Indian Red Cross Society and other literary and charitable organizations. His professional experience of 38 years relates to teaching English and establishing and administrating and managing DAV institutions up to senior secondary level in CBSE and of eminent writers in English. He has compiled and edited a series of quotable quotes from the complete works of eminent writers in English. The published 3R, Trespassers Will Be Prosecuted by Oscar Wilde, All Men Are Liars from Mark Twain, and Die Not Rich, Live Rich, Dr. Samuel Johnson. He also edits an annual anthology of Odia short stories. He lives with his family at Lucknow. His wife is a former college teacher and his daughter is a medico and son a university student. Sir is also a critic of Hindi films and music. I am sure this webinar will be very informative and will help all in resolving various doubts related to the new education policy. Please drop your queries in chat to at the end of the session. Query session will begin afterwards. Without taking much of a time, let me invite Dr. Himanshu Kumar Mohanty to share his views on new education policy. Over to you, sir.
Namaste, everybody. Am I audible?
You are audible, sir.
Am I visible?
Yes, sir. Yes.
In that event, my talk is over. And this is what new education policy says. My dear friends, I must express my gratitude to the PRCI for inviting me to such a webinar. In fact, when Mr. Ashish, who has been responsible for roping me in, he insisted so much. In fact, although I did not let my emotions open to him, but internally I was very happy to be a part of this webinar. Since the pronouncement of this new education policy, I must have conducted about a dozen of such webinars. But here, this has a place in my heart. Why? Because I belong to a family of journalists. And myself, I hold a degree in journalism. And during all my days of 34 years in DAV, my first transition from teaching to administration was as the public relations officer of DAV institutions in undivided Bihar. So naturally, I must say I am thankful to everybody, each and every person in PRCI, and particularly to Mr. Ashish, who roped me in, and he virtually was insistent that, sir, you have to do it. My dear friends, in fact, at times we are slaves of God. And I have given you one example. At the beginning of the webinar, my earphone went berserk. And in a half, I had to call my son. My daughter joined. And they corrected it. They fixed the problem, to which I am not very used to. And this is what your new education policy has been insisting upon. One of the prime, you can say, thrust areas is the use of technology, and which there has been a practical experience of all of you when my earphone went berserk. My dear friends, new education policy pronounced by Government of India on 29th of July 2020 is a landmark document. I must tell you first thing, kindly take it as in one term a vision document. It's a vision for till 2040, 20 years. And from here we have to start. Mrs. Sharma talked about my writings, and one of them is All Men Are Liars by Mark Twain. It's a fact, all men are liars, women excluded, of course. But All Men Are Liars, Mark Twain. Mark Twain was the world famous humorist of America. And no American author had toured India at the end of 19th century between 1898 to 1902. And he had a tour of almost all parts of India. There he has described India into 1898 He says, India is the cradle of the human race, the birthplace of human speech, the grandmother of legend, and the great-grandmother of tradition. Our most valuable and most instructive materials in the history of man are treasured up in India only. These are the words of Mark Twain. Mark Twain is the only author, at least whose works have been published in more than 6,000 different editions. This is what he told in 120 years ago. For your information, my dear friends, 120 years ago, he had spoken about the pollution of Ganga. And after 115 years, the government woke up to Clean Ganga movement or Namami Ganga. Back in our education, new education policy 2020, it says one of the focus points, rootedness and pride of India and its rich, diverse, ancient and modern culture and knowledge systems and traditions. See, in 120 years, how Mark Twain's observation of India and government's policy of new education policy, they are matching after 120 years. And I tell you, my friends, we must say we are not very, can say, worthy our inheritors of our traditions. We are talking of, whenever there is a talk of education, 100 global universities, top 100 universities in the world. But have we ever looked at our systems? Have we ever thought of, while talking of education, have we ever talked of our Indian education system? I tell you, Indian education system is the oldest in the world. I tell you, not even Greek. Other foreign countries, they are taking a lot of pride that our education system, our universities are 300 years old, 400 years old, 500 years old. The first Indian university was started 5,500 years ago. It was Takshila University in the state of Gandhar. And who founded it? One of the most hated characters of our mythology. It is Duryodhan. Duryodhan 5,500 years ago started Takshila University in the memory of his mother, Gandhari. That old is our system. That old is our education system. That old is our tradition. And today, in the new education policy, the government says the top 100 universities in the world, they can open campuses in India. We are that old. The only thing is that they have to be synchronized. I just touch upon in a very quick 5-10 minutes. Most of our universities were initially in South India. As you know, they were Gurukul systems. Our ancient universities were Takshila, Mithila, Telhara, Sardapit, Nalanda, Ballavi, Pushpagiri, Odantpuri, Bikramsila, Somanpura, Bikrampur, Marena, Kantursila, Jagdala, and last but not the least, Nadia in West Bengal. Nadia University coincidentally was destroyed by the Turks. So our education system is that old, that rich is our heritage, and we have to revive it. We have to revive it. That is one of the policies, aims of the your new education policy, that rootedness in the Indian traditions, and we have to bring it out. As you know, there is a saying, "Jaha nahi bharate, taha nahi bharate." That means whatever is not there in India, that is not there in the world. India has everything. Now coming to teachers, I'll just very quickly. Socrates is regarded as the first teacher of the world. He had his disciples Plato and Aristotle, and the first teacher of Indian mythology was Ved Vyas. Ved Vyas, in whose memory Guru Purnima is celebrated. Then when you could talk of teachers, Chanakya comes to your mind. When you talk of teachers, Tagore comes to your mind. But in the 20th century, the only teacher who lives in the mind, in the memory, in the heart of every Indian is Dr. Sarvapalli Radhakrishnan. And the second person, after so many years, if anybody has got the badge of being a teacher, is Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam. I remember when Dr. Kalam was in his last days in the Rashtrapati Bhavan, somebody asked him, "Sir, after you demit the office of the President of India, what do you plan?" He said, "I would like to go back to teach in my first love, that is Anna University." So teachers are regarded, respected, and the respect that you get in India nowhere in the world. Of course, we are slaves of WhatsApp. There are hundreds every day. There are hundreds of things on, particularly in the Teachers' Day, about teachers and all that. And there are jokes also. But thing is, you have to be there. You have to recognize your tradition. And very quickly, I'll just go through the history, because unless until you know a bit of history, it's not easy to understand the new education policy. In fact, when it comes to the present Indian system, the only name that comes into your mind is Macaulay. In fact, Macaulay, that is Thomas Barrington Macaulay, he was a British educationist, a lawmaker who shaped the today's Indian education system. What? The famous the English Education Act of 1835. Macaulay very cunningly, what did he do? He wanted that a class of persons, Indian in blood and color, but English in taste, in opinions, in morals, and in intellect. Very systematically, the 5,500 years old university system, he relegated to the backdrop. He anglicized the Indian system. What did he intend to? He simply intended that, as very many critics say, that the Britishers wanted babus. They are not incorrect. They are correct. They are right. Macaulay wanted that Indian education system should be set in such a manner that they keep on ruling us and we are their subservients. And the true Indian reformation in our system that started in the say early 20th century, when ICC schools, they were started. That is the national curriculum I am talking of, because earlier there were traditional schools, there were Gurukuls till 20th century, because Gurukul Kangra is one of these Gurukuls that is very prominently displayed everywhere, Gurukul Kangra. And the first ever Indianized board was in Uttar Pradesh, started in 1921 to provincialize our education, and then others expanded. But the real attention to education started only after 1947. And what happened? There have been education commissions, education committees, and if I am pardoned, I am not going political. I am analyzing the state of affairs. Whatever we are getting today, it is just because of vision of earlier prime ministers who inducted the real professors in the Ministry of Education. After 1947, the first Indian education minister was Maulana Abul Kalam Azad. He was the first education minister. Then it was called Ministry of Education. He was an Indian scholar, a Urdu scholar, who had penned one of the most important books on India Wins Freedom. And if you remember, my friends, because you are all from the public relations background, and public relations means some amount of journalism has to be there in there. And I'm so excited to talk to this August gathering. It's my first love, where in a family where I was born. The Dr. Kalam, he laid the foundation of today's education system. After his death, Mr. Kalulal Simali from Rajasthan, he became the education minister. Today, whatever you are talking of Jan Shikshan, it was his idea, Dr. Simali, followed by Dr. Humayun Kabir. He was a professor, he was a writer too. And Dr. Kabir, Humayun Kabir, since you people are from the public relations background, definitely my heart goes to you. He was the father-in-law of George Fernandez, married to Leela Kabir. And in his memory, on 11th November every year, Education Day is celebrated. Then came Dr. M.C. Chagla, Dr. Muhammad Karim Chagla. He was the Chief Justice of Bombay High Court and a versatile writer. And the people who read Bhavan's Journal can find his analytical articles. After him, Dr. Triguna Sen. He was the Vice Chancellor of Banaras Hindu University and Jadavpur University. Then came Dr. B.K. R.V. Rao. The Delhi School of Economics, it was founded by him. Then came Professor Nurul Hasan. He was a professor of history and then governor. Dr. Pratap Chandra Chandra in the Janata Ministry in 1977. He was a writer and a professor. Dr. Murli Manohar Joshi, I think he is the last professor to hold the post of education ministers. With this list, my dear friends, I need not elaborate. I need not elaborate who laid the foundation of Indian education system as we are viewing today. I'm not going political. I want it because I'm analyzing things. And what new education policy says, here I'll just take a small break. Break is when in the parliament there is a budget presentation, the finance minister speaks for 2 hours. But our intention or our focus is on one place, that is, what is the relief we are getting in income tax. Nothing more than that. Because it is a human tendency that whatever we look at, we first introspect how is it going to help us? How is it going to affect us? When there is a railway budget, the railway minister gives thousands of data. But before the moment it says, now I am going to announce the new trains, there is a shore already, there is a halla gulla already. As if people know my area will not get a train. Same way, in the new education policy, the gathering that we have, the first intention will be to find out how is it going to affect me or my family. And since we are the citizens of this country, naturally we are a part of the system. We cannot get out of the system. And after the independence, the first foundation stone was laid by Dr. Radhakrishnan in 1948, who headed the University Education Commission. Then the government, Nehru government, that took up first the university reformation in the university sector. Then Secondary Education Commission, 1958. Then they came to the school education. It was led by Dr. A. Lakshman Swami Mudaliar. They were two brothers, Ramswamy Mudaliar, Lakshman Swami Mudaliar. They belonged to Kerala and both were educationists. Then another was for primary and secondary education reorganization. It was Acharya Narendra Dev, who headed a committee in 1939 and 15 years after in 1952. Acharya Narendra Dev, he is a very prominent figure of UP, and we have a school in Kumarganj in his name, DAV school, Narendra Dev DAV school. And the first education policy, national education policy, was tabled in 1968. It went through a reformation in 1986 when Rajiv Gandhi was the Prime Minister. And between 1986 and 2020, there has been only one change or one addition. It was a, can say, sweeping addition, right to education. That was the only addition in 34 years that the Congress government made, that all the schools, private schools particularly, because they give best kind of education, the private schools would be reserving 25% of their seats at the entry level for the economically backward societies. Now, after that, the government thought of having some changes, keeping with the technology, keeping with our system, and this Kasturi Rangan committee that gave its report in 2020. So what have been the things in the new education policy? Most of our spectators, you might have been brought up with 10 plus 2 plus 3 system. Beforehand, it was 11, 2 plus 2, 11, 1 plus 3. But what is the change? What's the major change that has been brought about? It was from class 1 to BA, graduation. 10th, plus 2, and 3 years graduation. The government, and we all were out of the ambit of the government, the CBSE, the ICSE, the state governments, when it comes to primary classes, pre-primary classes. So what happened? The government very thoughtfully, it's a very, can say, I must say, it's a welcome step from AS3 2 plus 2. That became 15 years. How? In today's world, most of these parents, they have only 1 or 2 children. And everybody wants to grow. Everybody wants to, can say, have the best of education. And what happened? The government decided in the new education policy that first thrust would be the secondary education has to be restructured. And they took into the child of 3 years who was going to a nursery class, in villages to an Anganwadi, to a crèche. So government brought them into the curriculum. And what happens? Now, it has divided them into 4 parts. First is, initially it was 10 plus 2 plus 3. So these 10 years have been increased to 13 years. How? First is pre-LKG, LKG, and 1 and 2, 5 years. They are calling it foundational. Then preparatory, 3 years, 3 years, class 3, 4, and 5. Then middle class, 6, 7, and 8. And high stage, 4 years. So these are this is the, can say, reorganization up till plus 2. And in the second phase, what are the interests the government has? First is, government in the new education policy, I appreciate it. And I have told you in the very beginning that it is a vision document. Implementation part is a matter of discussion, matter of debate, matter of criticism, matter of can say appreciation, anything. The government proposes that by 2025, universal foundational literacy and numeracy in primary classes should be there. By 2025, at least the children, each and every child of the country should be literate in the first 5 years of stage. Then what does it plan again? That by the year 2030, the gross enrollment ratio in schools up to secondary level should be 100%. 2030, another 10 years. And these are the 2 important things in the secondary education. Another thing I personally appreciate, because I am a victim of that. With the globalization, the mother tongue is being grossly neglected. So much thrust on English language, so much thrust on international language. Everywhere, since it's a very enlightened platform, and the people who are considered to be the 4th can say pillar of democracy, and I term proudly that we are the conscience keepers of the society. I am not ashamed to say this. Anything that has been the worst casualty of the liberalized education is the mother tongue. So much of English. So much of English. And that has happened because from the very beginning, even we public schools have some criminal responsibility in this. And we took advantage because we had to give the best of education in absence of a government policy. Naturally, we have, can say, in absence of, we enjoy. And government has rightly put its absolute foot on this, that up to class 5th, the mother tongue should be there compulsorily. And the 3 language formula will also continue. Out of those 3 languages, 2 would be native Indian languages and 1 would be, it does not amplify, but definitely I'll say 1 is mother tongue, the other is Hindi or Sanskrit, and the 3rd is English. There is no choice in India. But I'm truly happy because I know in the mad race for numbers, marks, what is happening? In most of the schools, the moment the child enters class 9th, he drops his mother tongue, he drops anything, he puts up Sanskrit, he picks up Sanskrit because it is mark fetching. And I tell you honestly, most of the children of today, they may not write in mother tongue. At my home, when I take pride that yes, my mother taught me Odia up to class 5th, but you have been taught by your teacher. That's why your Odia is not that pure, that the way my Odia is. So it's a welcome step. And every Indian should be proud of his mother tongue and should practice. I say, let us not be hypocrites. Let us practice mother tongue at home. Let us talk to our children in mother tongue. And I tell you, as a teacher of 40 years, the education is the best in mother tongue till class 5th. Then government has rightly done another good thing. There are so many dialects, local languages. It's going to promote them. The sign languages. And one more good thing that has happened is the public and private schools, they will be now accredited. Transparency will be brought in. Transparency will be brought in. But yes, the government has again done one more thing. It has given enough scope to the girls and transgressors. And there are other small issues. But what I want to tell you is that in the new education sector, after this, I'll go to the higher education sector. A kind of employability issue has been addressed. What does the new education policy say? It says, let the child study what he likes. Skill development. I tell you, in most of our households, in most of our systems, what happens? 90% of Indians, we are interested in the employability of the child. Go, study, and get a job. There is no skill development. So the new education policy says that from the class 9th, the skill development of the child should be assessed by the school. Give him a free hand. And give him a free hand so that he goes and picks up his own interest, not imposed by the parents. At times I used to joke in my principal's meetings that most of our children, they don't have the independence. They don't have in their personal choice also. The neighbor's son, the neighbor's mother decides what will my son study. The comparison aspect. His son is doing +2 in science. My son will also do. Never assessing whether my child had the aptitude, the attitude to do +2 in science. So, and I tell you, this change of attitude is required up to +2. And the same the child has his aptitude, it's not going to serve the purpose. My dear parents, most of you must be grandparents also. Please guide your children, assess their aptitude. And unfortunately, in last 20 years, there have been only 2 areas which have been getting our attention: medical and engineering. There are other areas also. And in next 10 years, I tell you, whatever our assessments, 3 areas are going for enough of play field. And there will be no dearth of jobs. First is banking, finance, and insurance. That sector will require many professionals. Second, hospitality and tourism. These 2 sectors are growing. So from class 9th onwards, those who are there, it's not there in the new education policy that I have analyzed. BFI and hospitality and tourism, they are going to hold the fort. There won't be any dearth of job. And third is communications. And it is reflected in the new education policy. Communications means your job, PR job. And with the flooding of our electronic media, new avenues nobody is looking at. New avenues are the, I can say, print journalism. Print journalism, there are going to be enough scope. And this is all about very quickly, because this requires so many sessions. This is all about in broad guidelines, the +2 up to 10+2. As we are traditionally conditioned to say this, but this is 5+3+3+4. Second, what is can say only takeaway, like I have said, how many nutrients are going. The only thing is that for our children, for our households, I sum up in one thing, that the child's attitude and aptitude are to be assessed in class 9th and 10th, and whatever he has to pick up, that has to be decided at that level. This is what. And there are so many small can say things which need not be go there. And now when we go to the higher education, is, there is going to be sea change. What? In higher education, the new education policy says, first thing, they will be unbound by the set norms. What are the set norms? Enter the college, finish the course, then come out. No. They are going to make it very flexible. Why flexible? So that there is some employment. Because India's greatest strength is the population, the greatest weakness is the population. So it is going to be all the colleges, they are going to be multidisciplinary. And the traditional colleges, they are going to be phased out. By 2040, as I have told you, this is a 20-year vision. All the higher education institutions are going to be multidisciplinary. And what are they going to do? The Bundes, streams, arts, science, commerce, no, they are going to be abandoned. There can be a mixture of, one can study physics and banking and philosophy. This strange your old thing of stream, that needed some corrections, which the new education policy has done. And what the new education policy envisages, that by 2030, every district should have a multidisciplinary higher education institution. India, I'm sure, has about 600 districts. So there are going to be 600 higher education districts. And by the era 2035, the gross enrollment ratio in higher education has to be 50%. And what is the change in the structure they have brought in? After your +2, you have the option of 3 years undergraduation and 2 years PG, 5 years, or 4 year undergraduation and 1 year PG, or 5 years integrated course, which is now the fashion of these days. And what is the benefit? Supposing, if you remember, my dear friends, in those days, it's not there. There was a break journey. You are traveling, say, from Bombay to Ahmedabad. You had some work somewhere. So you break the journey, wait for the next train, pick up the next train, which, of course, Indian Railways has abandoned it. So now there can be a break journey. 2 years you are studying. You wanted to do some job, abandon it, do some job, then you come back. This is a boon for every Indian student. And I am happy about one more thing also. MPhil has been discontinued. MPhil was definitely was not going to do much of service to the society. It was mostly for getting an increment by the lecturers. And another stereotype thing has been cut off is that foreign universities, they can now set up their campuses in India. You need not go abroad. It's a good thing. And Indian universities can set up their campuses also in the foreign countries. And research is to be given some thrust. And the government has decided that the GDP, whatever India has, 6% will be spent on your education. So these are some of the things that are going. But how do they affect us directly? Now I am coming to the real question. Everybody has read it in the newspapers and all that. I have explained it in very short period, and in my way I have explained it. But how does it going to happen to us? First thing, the moment child is born, he is covered under education. By the age of 3, when he is there, he has to go to a school. Unless until the child goes to the school, there cannot be 100% literacy. And government has, the new education policy has roped in Anganwadis, creches, everything. Even in our public schools, even high-end public schools, low-end public schools, government schools, everybody will be admitting students from next year at the age of 3. Second, it is going to affect us directly. And in 2021, when a 3-year-old child goes, in 13 years, that is in 34, his 100% literacy is achieved. Second, in the higher education sector, how does it affect us? The greatest benefit in the higher education is that whatever form of education and all that, forget about it. You have the flexibility. You have the flexibility. And that flexibility is that you can continue, you can drop, come back and do things. And moreover, I'll very quickly go through. These are the 2 things to my mind that are important. Research oriented, fine. And as I have told you, the child's attitude and aptitude have to be assessed. In which stream does he go? I tell my schools, I tell everybody, you don't need a career counselor, you don't need a guide, career guidance expert. Call somebody from the society, show them the things. And how does it happen? Some child may be inspired. And very quickly, I'll just tell you what is there in the abstract terms. As I have at the beginning of my speech, I have told you that the Indianness is to be preserved. Secondly, the Indian mindset has to be, I can say, incorporated into it. Education is a public service. Yes, it requires funding. We need money to run it because teachers' professionalism has to be safeguarded. Proper money is to be paid. But again, with a sense of devotion. Go back to those days when it was said, Guru Brahma, Guru Vishnu, Guru Dev Maheshwar. Guru Sakshat Param Brahma Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. And in today's context, Gurukul system is has taught us something. But again, what has happened? How is it going to affect us? That the teachers' professionalism, all these things require, whatever is the vision document, it requires manpower. Man can sustain only on his salary. It is an issue. It has to be addressed. But simultaneously, teaching being a noble profession, the best profession, the teacher has to keep in mind that it's a public service. You are shaping the humans. You are shaping the, I don't wish to use the popular term, future citizenship India. No, you are going to shape a human being, an Indian, who takes pride that the first university was set up 5,500 years ago. And we have to find that, yes, every child has his own capability. And as I have covered all those things. And one more thing, the government aims subtly to free the Indian mindset from the coaching center concept. The rote memory, the numerical assessment, that has to go. My dear friends, when you were students in state boards, if you secured 50%, you were treated as a brilliant student. And the joke goes, in the CBSE today, in the ICC today, if a child secures 99%, the father says, where is the 1%? Where have you lost it? Are they genius? No, it is the outcome of a defective system. No child is perfect enough to secure 100%. No child. There is some lacuna in the system. So that is numerical assessment, that is rote memory, that is coaching center concept, that has to go. And that it goes only when the creativity in a child is there, the holistic approach is there, and technology definitely, and curriculum, etc. One more good thing I have to say, that it is designed in a manner, new education policy, that from the age of 3 till the child gets out of the university after doing PG, it is to be synchronized in a way, so that they are complementary to each other, and there is a continuous flow from the toddler till he comes out of the university. As I have already told you, that the teachers have to be professional, they have to be properly trained, and research is to be given some amount of thrust. But directly we are affected like this. Of course, your corona has taught you a lot of things. All these documents were before corona. Expect a delay of 2-3 years, because as you know, corona has played havoc with everybody. And the worst hit area is the economy. And you are not going to find, don't expect miracles, particularly post-corona. Today, we are suffering. But as my practical experience goes, the real suffering will be felt 1-2 years ago, when corona settles down and the real picture of economy comes out. There will be a lot of economic crisis that is going to happen. That is why instead of going for all those rosy pictures that the new education policy has said, I have not gone into those ambitious projects. There will be university, UGC will go, AICT will go, MCI go, XYZ. No, I have very practically dealt with the issues that are going to affect us, keeping the corona in mind. Corona has taught us to be a different man. And worst hit is the school, worst hit is the education, and rightly so. One child, if the schools are open, colleges are open, one child corona means starting from the principal to the peon will go on quarantine. Time is not right to open the schools. Government is wise enough now. At least here government has been wise. But life has to go on. So this corona has, you can say, education is always developmental. Corona has taught us one more thing, that the physical transactions in the classrooms have to be supplemented by the online classes. It has to be. It has to be. Online classes. But one thing I tell you, I was seeing one of those serials. He said कि मैं उनके जैसे हो सकता हूँ. वो बोले कि उनके जैसा मन कहाँ से लाओगे? Same way, unless until there is a physical transaction in the classrooms, the emotive part will lack. Online classes, however you try, but the penetration would not be into your mind, the penetration into your heart, your mind will not be more than 40%. The receptivity of the child is more when he sees the teacher in the classrooms. I have a very small anecdote. My son, when he was very small, I used to call him bad boy. And I would call him baddest boy. When he was in class 1, one day he came to school, me and said, Papu, I just tell you, the superlative form of bad is not baddest, it is worst. Don't tell me baddest boy in public. My teacher has said it is worst. So you may call me worst, but don't use a wrong English. So this is how life is. We learn from our children. We have to be there. And last but not least, what I tell you to summarize. One, your child has to ensure it is a social responsibility. Ensure that every child, if we have to, as enlightened citizens of the country, if we have to make it successful, every child has to go to the school at the age of 3. And secondly, when he comes out, he should come out a knowledgeable man. I remember when I used to be a student in say 81, there was one National School of Banking. Its advertisement would come in there was a new monthly magazine, The Mirror. It says that at the age of 20, he wanted to be an IAS. At the age of 25, he wanted to be a probationary officer. At the age of 30, he is ready to settle down as a clerk. And what did I? If you are indecisive, you won't get a job, admit yourself in National School of Banking. This happened, this advertisement was there because of, it wanted to attract children into his National School of Banking. But some were not met up that aptitude. As I have already told you, the mindset has to change. Gone are those days when people had a dozen of children. Everybody has one. We want to give the best. But my dear friends, your children may be out of the school, college. Your grandchildren may be there. but kindly assess the aptitude and attitude of the child. And secondly, there is another problem. People are winning away from their traditional business. The person who is doing kirana business is, my son will go elsewhere, he will not be there in my shop. But if the child is there with you, the business may expand. So we have to ensure that we get a good human being. And secondly, we have to ensure that the vices of other things are not there in the education system. And yes, Mr. Pillai has given a very good, industry has to participate with education. Yes. And the linkage has to be there. Because after Corona, the entire scenario is going to change. So this vision document that I had told you, it has more abstract ideas than concrete ideas. Because there are certain things which cannot be assessed in documentation. That is attitude, aptitude, holistic development. They are all abstract in nature. Very is to say. But other factors, they contribute. And they have to be taken into confidence. And poverty is one of the issues. And I don't know, I'm not very enthusiastic after Corona. My dear friends, we are thankful to God that we are alive today. But situation is bad. Particularly, I am very scared of its repercussions after 1 or 2 years. And economy will be worsted. This document will go. This document may not achieve its objectives by 2040. It may extend by another 20 years. So future is uncertain. But one thing is certain, that the boy who is born in 2018 will go to school next year. That is once per 5. It's a must. This is the only step I can predict today. I can assess today. And thank you so much. I don't know if I have been effective in, because I wanted to take a practical approach. It is vision document, fine. All these things are very good in documentation, but I wanted to give you a practical thing. What is happening, and how are we affected? In fact, I think Mr. Sharma described me as a film critic. Yes, I have a deep knowledge of. Virtually, I write columns from Hindi films and music. I have, after I have spoken for 1 hour completely. Acha, tell me a situation. If we don't study at all, what will happen? We don't read. What will happen? Those people who have read, who are educated, what have they done? So I have chosen 2 songs from very old films that will summarize